You have been lied to, not by the world, but by the shadows you have mistaken for light. You believe that by smoothing over every conflict and reflecting the desires of others, you are being good. But let us be honest in the way we are trained to be honest here. You aren't being kind. You are being emotionally needy. Philosophy, in the classical sense, as we practice it here, is not the study of dead ideas, but the art of waking up. Today, we move from the desperate desire to be liked to the philosophical necessity of being free. In our recent explorations, we touched on a truth we hold closely here. The desire to be right often destroys the very connections we seek to cherish. People-pleasing is the opposite side of that same coin. It is a frantic attempt to be right in the courtroom of another person's mind. The Stoic Epictetus, who began life as a physical slave, understood freedom better than any modern man. He taught us the dichotomy of control. In our tradition, this isn't a life hack. It is the foundational pillar of a sovereign soul. He told us, some things are up to us, and some things are not up to us. When you lose sleep because someone didn't reply with the warmth you expected, you have violated a fundamental law of nature. You are attempting to govern a province where you have no legal standing. Their opinion of you lives in their mind, a private, sacred, and often chaotic territory where you have no passport to enter. When you people please, you are trying to colonize another person's consciousness. You manipulate their perception so they see a version of you that makes you feel safe. We think we are being selfless, but we see it differently here. We are actually being profoundly controlling. We try to force someone to like us because we are emotionally needy, using our kindness as a bribe to prevent the discomfort of our own perceived inadequacy. Imagine you are the captain of a ship. You control the sails, the rudder, and the discipline of your crew. These are the things up to us. But the wind? The hidden reefs of another person's bad mood? Those are not. When you people please, you abandon the rudder of your own ship to jump into the freezing water, trying to push the waves with your bare hands. You exhaust yourself to change the direction of the sea, while your own vessel drifts toward the rocks, unmanned and forgotten. Philosophy teaches that the only territory you truly own is your own will, your prohairesis. Every time you outsource your happiness to the approval of others, you commit spiritual treason. You declare that their fleeting, ill-informed judgment is more real than your own objective character. Whom are you trying to satisfy? If the answer is anyone other than the internal judge, that higher part of your own reason, then you are building on shifting sand. By chasing the cloud of public opinion, you lose the solid ground of your own being. Marcus Aurelius reminds us to be like a rocky promontory against which the restless surf continually breaks. It stands fast while the water foams around it. It does not move to accommodate the tide. The tide must move around it. Now, look at the life of a people-pleaser. They are not the rock, they are the sand. Every time a new wave of expectation rolls in, they shift their very topography to accommodate the weight of someone else's footsteps. This isn't flexibility. It is a slow, agonizing erosion of the soul. Every time you say yes, when your inner voice is screaming no, you commit a small act of violence against the truth. As we practice it here, philosophy is the path toward integrity, the radical integration of thought, feeling, and action. In ancient tradition, a human being was seen as a vertical bridge between earth and heaven, but a people-pleaser is horizontal. They are flattened and stretched thin by the demands of 1,000 masters. When you perform a personality rather than expressing a being, you are fundamentally lying. You offer a counterfeit version of yourself. A dishonest yes is a debt you incur with your own character, and the interest will eventually bankrupt your spirit. Think of the energy it takes to maintain a lie. To be a people pleaser is to live in a state of constant, high-stakes theater. You are the actor, the director, and the stagehand trying to keep the props from falling. But who is the audience? Often, it is people who aren't even paying attention. We sacrifice our deepest values to satisfy the casual whims of those who will forget our sacrifice 5 minutes later. Real respect is not found in constant agreement. It is found in the courage to be a no when the no is your truth. When you say no from a place of center, you are actually saying yes to your own existence. You declare that you are a person of substance, not a shadow. The nice person often hides a reservoir of secret resentment. Because they cannot set boundaries, they feel victimized by the very people they are trying to please. This creates a toxic cycle. You give until you are empty. Then you feel angry because no one replenished you. But it was never their job to replenish you. It was your job to protect your vessel. By failing to say no, you have traded your self-respect for a temporary, fragile peace that isn't peace at all. It's just the absence of noise. How do we break a habit reinforced since childhood? How do we stop the automated self from handing over the keys to our kingdom? We do it through ascesis, the deliberate spiritual exercise of the will, which we cultivate in our daily practice. In our modern world, we are addicted to speed. We feel an immediate answer is a requirement of politeness. But wisdom requires a delay. We must introduce a gap between the stimulus and the response. Most people pleasers react with the speed of an instinctual animal. Someone asks a favor, and the yes flies out of their mouth before they've even processed the request. It is a reflex of fear, the fear of being excluded or judged. I invite you to practice the 3-second pause. It sounds simple, but for the pleaser, those 3 seconds will feel like an eternity. When a request is made, or when you feel that familiar, nauseated itch to apologize for existing, wait, stop the machine. In those 3 seconds, look inward and ask, am I doing this out of virtue, or am I doing this because I'm emotionally needy? Let us examine the difference, for it is the line between a philosopher and a slave. Virtue is an act of service coming from a position of strength and conscious choice. It is a gift given by a sovereign individual. It adds objective value without expecting a thank you to survive. Emotionally needy behavior is an act of servitude coming from a position of lack. It is a bribe. It is niceness used as a shield to hide your fear of rejection. If the answer is the latter, have the philosophical courage to decline. It will feel like a small death at first. Your personality will throw a tantrum, convinced the world will end because you didn't fulfill an unimportant request. But beneath that panic, your inner human will finally begin to breathe. This isn't about being mean. In fact, we believe that the most selfish thing you can do is to be a people pleaser, because you are only doing it to soothe your own anxiety. True selflessness requires a strong self to begin with. By practicing the pause, you reclaim your time, your energy, and your dignity. You move from a life of reaction to a life of action. Imagine the power of a human being who can look another in the eye and say, I hear your request, but I cannot fulfill it. There is more love in that honest refusal than in 1,000 resentful yeses. You are treating the other person as an adult capable of handling the truth. We must distinguish between the personality and the higher self. The personality is a mask. It wants to be safe, popular, and comfortable. But the higher self seeks only the truth and the good. The people pleaser is someone whose personality has completely hijacked their higher self. True generosity comes from a full cup, not an empty one. You cannot truly help the world if you are a hollow shell of exhaustion. You cannot give what you do not have. By learning to say no, you are actually becoming a more capable instrument for the good. In our volunteer work here, we see this often. People come wanting to save the world because they are running away from the chaos of their own lives. But we teach them that the first act of service is to put your own internal house in order. A disciplined, sovereign individual who knows their limits is 1,000 times more useful to society than an emotionally needy yes man who collapses under pressure. Stop asking, "What do they want from me?" and start asking, "What does the law of justice require of me?" Justice, in the Platonic sense, is giving each thing its due. Does a toxic demand from a coworker deserve your life force? Does a manipulative friend deserve your silence? Justice to others begins with justice to yourself. The path of philosophy is not a path of comfort. It is a path of friction. To stop being a people pleaser is to accept that some people will be disappointed. Some may even walk away, but as Marcus Aurelius noted, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Your life is not a performance for an audience of critics. It is a sacred journey toward the ideal. Every time you stand your ground, every time you choose integrity over approval, you are carving out a space for freedom in a world of clones. True virtue includes the courage to be yourself, the courage to be disliked if that is the price of the truth. If you are tired of living as a reflection in other people's mirrors, come visit us. We practice philosophy, not just in books, but in action. We practice the strength to be real, the strength to be quiet, and the strength to say no, so that our yes finally means something.